All right, welcome to ECFA Daily. I'm Vincent. During the week, I like to talk about step charts, but on Fridays, I like to have a guest on to talk about dance games. This week, I feel like this man needs no introduction. We have Dimo with us. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Vincent, and I gotta say, mad props on just going for creating all this awesome content. I really enjoyed watching the interview with McGeevy. He's one of my close friends. I really admire him. He's a great person. He's really good at every rhythm game.
He plays a lot of games.
Yes,
it's like 7 games.
It's awesome. It's awesome to be on the daily. I think this is a really cool idea. So thanks for having me.
I'm glad to have you on because I see you as just the biggest threat possible in the best way possible.
Thanks, man.
Going into ECFA. So, do you want to just give yourself a brief introduction? How you got started with games? What communities you're involved in?
Absolutely, yeah. So, I am.
Well, who are you?
Boomer. I'm a boomer, if you will. So my name is Omid. Demo is my name backwards. I got that nickname when I was like 10. And I'm 33, so it stuck with me for a long time. DDR was the first rhythm game I ever played, and speaking of being 10, it was about that age. I was about 12 when I got a chance to step on the DDR pads for the first time, and I just tweeted about it actually because there was a meme going around. But basically, grew up in Irvine, Southern California, and that's where I was born and raised. And I went to this local arcade with my mom, saw a fourth mix machine there. The first song I ever played was Dropout Trick.
I can't believe you remember that.
Yeah, which is difficult. Yeah, I literally don't remember the session. I just remember that was my first song. Then just got super into it, and then went to another local arcade. They had Beatmania, Guitar Freaks, etc. So super awesome. ITG, literally in the groove, the game in the groove before all customs and stamina and all this stuff. I started playing in about 06 when ITG 2 came out, or 05. Actually, I think that was 2004, maybe 2005. One of those years, right? And then I got super. That's when my competitiveness shot up to the stratosphere, and I got fourth at Nat 05, our first kind of global tournament that was first party, and actually won the year after in Austin Nat 06. I ended up winning that one. So love in the groove. Did not play from 2010 to 2016, and then with DDR Ace I have returned. So that's kind of my short. That's kind of 21 years is how long I've been in the community. 21 years in I don't know, a minute.
Yeah, I feel like your credentials could have its own episode. Honestly, with enough.
Dude, Vincent, the craziest thing is being older than folks in the community that are playing now. My gaming experience is older than
don't say that.
Actual age of players, dude. So that makes me feel great.
Don't hurt yourself that way. Yeah, and then so your community reach is primarily in California, but there's global reach as well, right?
Yeah, so I'm lucky to have a lot of great friends that are doing some great things for the community, such as yourself. But yeah, folks like Ben Madsen who have created Life 4. If you want to check it out, life4DDR.com. It's a way for DDR players to get ranked and be able to compete with each other, kind of raise each other up, very much in the spirit of ECFA, so that's super awesome. And stuff like Danger Shark, by Orion, and Danger Shark is a way for players to support other players by buying sick merch. So those are I think two really great bigger communities that I'm part of. My own Twitch stream, this past year I've been streaming a lot, and I think that's a global community. Plus my Discord, that's kind of in tandem with that. So yeah, but yeah, really I love the California community. I've made a ton of lifelong friends with the ITG local community here, and I always try to travel to any and all 4-panel tournaments all over the world. And that's one of the beautiful things about this game. There's community everywhere, right? So that's been one of the things that I love the most about ITG specifically. And I love that I have my California family, but really if you play ITG, let's face it, we're family. So it's dope. I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah, I don't think my mom has processed yet that I have friends like everywhere and anywhere I go just because of this community. And it's honestly all over the world. Like, I made friends spontaneously in Vietnam and Singapore, no issue, just from playing Pump It Up in Voltex. So
exactly.
Yep. And then this is going to be pretty relevant to discussions today, but what did you study in school and what do you do for work?
Yeah, so I studied human computer interaction. So first off, my Bachelor of Science is in cognitive science, but I specialize in this thing called human computer interaction. I also have a master's in the same thing. And for work, I'm a user experience research lead at Discord, actually, the thing we're talking on. And so what does all that mean? Basically, human computer interaction is the kind of triangle of computer science, neuroscience, and psychology. So it's like this intersection of how people use tech, basically. And then in terms of, what I do for work, I partner closely with our product team and design teams. And my goal this year is to build a team, but right now it's just myself that's focused on this, on user experience research. That's what UX research stands for. My job is to help unblock decision makers in those spaces. So I study people and how they use Discord, or maybe people who do not use Discord, and then take that information as insights, through various studies, ways of studying people, and help our designers and product teams make decisions that make stuff better, basically.
And we'll cut deeper into it later, but would you say that your background in psychology has had a big influence on how you approach playing the game?
1000%, dude. 1000%.
All right, so I want to get into like the biggest disclaimer of this episode, because I know some of the things we're going to talk about might be like tired conversations for you, but the big disclaimer that Omid and I both have is that you're not going to learn any shortcuts in this episode. We're going to learn no tricks. There's just no shortcuts to success, right?
If there are, let us know. I mean, in the comments, definitely let us know what the shortcuts are, because I haven't found any yet.
Yeah, I mean, you can learn like my Monday through Thursday videos, right? Like we're teaching tips and tricks, and there's just good things to know in the background as you're playing, but there's just no replacement for booting up the machine and playing the songs yourself.
Yep.
And every top player is there for a reason. It's because they worked really hard to do it, and they're practicing very deliberately and putting in quality work.
Yeah, and I think to go back to like the tips and tricks thing real quick, I think it's just like knowing how to do something is different than like building the muscle memory to do it, right? So when you do your videos on, insane techniques or, whatever have you, right? That's great. You are informing people how to do something, right? But the thing that separates, and this is what we'll get to this deliberate practice idea in a sec, but this is hinting at it. If you know how to do something and then don't try to do it to get it exactly right that way every single time, like we're watching Chris grind Fractal the other night on stream, like that is the difference between a developing player and a top player. A developing player thinks that they have it figured out. A top player understands and will say that they will never figure it out, right? It's like very fundamental difference in just fundamentally how you approach the game. There's just a big difference there.
Yeah, and also I've experienced that the way that you think something is going to work in your head sometimes just does not play out in reality when you actually go on and try to put it into practice. So you just have to, there's no replacement, you just have to play. You have to figure out what works for you and just get cracking.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And weird circumstance for me, real quick, is last year in March, due to COVID, 11% of my company got laid off. And I've never been in that situation before. So I basically decided to, I'm privileged enough to have some cash savings set aside. And I had like a 3-month severance. So, which obviously helped a lot. So basically I just decided to try to become a streamer. Right. And so I really I was playing like 20 hours a week. Right. And so I think that in and of itself is like a privilege and a luxury, and people do, access is an issue, etc. So I think that there's a lot of things that have to go right here, and I just want to be respectful and acknowledge that it's like, even if you do everything right, and even if you're able to like play all the time, it still takes the right attitude and like all these other moving parts to make it all happen. So that I just want to like quickly reflect on that and just say that it's like your mileage may vary, right?
Yeah, and kind of on the topic of that, even if you don't have like a lot of machine access, I know Chris actually right now does not have his own access to machine. He has to he has the generosity of his friends to allow him to play on their machines. But man, when he plays his sets, he plays as if he's never going to be able to play on a cab ever again.
Yeah, I've noticed.
It's like anywhere from 4 to 6 hour sets, going hard the entire time, grinding hard the whole time, and just making the most of. I think that's important for everybody. Is you have to make the most of the situation that's available to you, make the most of the time that's available to you, and just make the best of it.
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of what we mean when we say quality over quantity, right? It's like it's about knowing what you're not great at and continue to work at those things. If you're trying to learn a chart, don't play charts like it. Play that chart, right? Like play it on 0.7 speed, 0.8 speed, 0.9 speed. Go in edit mode. Chunk bits of it, right? And like and look at certain parts. Try to repeat those parts until you get it 100% right every time, right? So there's a lot you can do given what you have access to, plus what you're doing with the time that you have. Very important.
Yeah, I think right now my strong suit has always been stamina and speed. I was primarily a stamina player for a very long time, and so obviously when I started playing tech, a lot of the speed and stamina stuff is what I'm strong at now, and that's just because that's what I put the time into. And I'm noticing that in comparison to you particularly, I'm very bad at anything that's movement tech related. So that's things like side switches, long crossover patterns, Scoobies, things like that. And I'm realizing the last set I played involved very little of that. So now I have to really switch my gears into. You have to force yourself to play the stuff you're bad at. Really, that's what it boils down to.
100% agree. Like today I had a really long session, and I forced myself. Like my chat was like commenting on, so are you going to play a 14 today? And I didn't take that as anything negative. I think that they're making a great point. But I forced myself to play 14 and some 13s that I hadn't seen before and all this stuff because you have to make yourself uncomfortable, and I think we have that as a theme a little bit later. A lot of people have commented and I guess do comment on the fact that my timing's really good, right? So Vincent, I'm the opposite of you, right? So for me, my weakest game is like my foot speed and my stamina, and like I'm getting better at stamina, but I still have a long way to go on foot speed. So I like all the movement stuff. I like all the tech stuff. And most importantly, I like timing stuff. Like I'm willingly playing the 7s and 8s, right? I love seeing like perfect scores. Like that's why I play competitive dance games. Like it's just so fun. It's like Puff the Magic Dragon type of feeling, right? It's like endless pursuit of perfection is so fun. So I think that this given that that's my space, right? Given that that's my expertise and the area that I like to exist in, this first bullet of like focus, right? When you're playing the game, your literal only thought should be to get the highest judgment on the upcoming note. Like that's literally all you should be thinking about. So it's like a very Zen thing. It's a very difficult thing. It's impossible. It's like very impossible, or it's very hard to do, right? It's not impossible, but it's very hard to do. But that is the key. Like that is literally like when you see me on stream, like getting whatever scores I'm getting, this is my philosophy. I'm trying to do this to the maximum ability, the maximum amount of ability that I have, basically.
When you say focus and always focus on the next arrow, you did say that it's almost like a Zen thing. Do you hit a point where you're kind of in that flow state and just kind of autopiloting, or do you feel like your brain is activated all the time, 100% of the time?
No, definitely the former. And I've actually given like a talk that had flow as a big thesis of it as well. Just yeah, I think flow is a very important concept. Like I highly encourage folks who are listening and watching this right now to open up a new tab and Google flow as a psychological concept. I think it's very interesting. And that's what it's all about. It's all about getting to that flow state so that you can do this.
Yeah, so it sounds like I know you've been encouraging me as well as other people to play the sevens and the eights in ECFA as well. It sounds like, if I understand it correctly, you're playing the sevens and eights to develop your foundation, right? That way, when you hit flow state, your fundamentals are already in place, and you just let your body do what it needs to on its own.
That's definitely a part of it. You're absolutely right. I think the second bullet is even more kind of what I am preaching here, which is like um, not necessarily like positive. I guess it is positive psychology. Basically, like this idea that if you see yourself do well, you're more likely to like cheer for yourself and be kinder to yourself. And I think that's, one way to do that is to get really high scores on sevens and eights, right? So when you, like I was having a discussion with someone in my Discord earlier this week. They said like, okay, like, yeah, I can play the eights, but I'm still getting shitty scores, right? Well, are they the same shitty scores that you're getting on 12s, or are they better comparatively to like when you play 12s and 13s, right? Like, chances are, if you're getting a shitty score for you, whatever that is, on a 12, if you play an 8, chances are your score is going to be a lot higher, and you're gonna feel a lot better about how you did. If you don't, I'm sorry, but like ultimately, like I think that the idea is you should always be playing, in my opinion, and Chris has talked about this as well, but it's like the n-1 and the n+1 of like if n is like a difficulty you really enjoy playing and you think that you're good at, like that's kind of like your cap, right? Where you can score well, do whatever. Play a little bit easier and a little bit harder. In my philosophy, I go kind of more extra than Chris. And I say like n-2, n+2. Because I think that like you really get a chance to see those high scores and build your timing like a lot. And then you really, and we'll talk about this, setting 50-50 goals is very good. 50% you can attain, 50% you are probably going to fail. That n+2, you probably are not going to pass those songs. But once you do, it's going to feel amazing, right? And like you're building this entire repertoire of like timing and like hard stuff, which is, I think, really important.
And then you also have saying be kind to yourself as well.
Yeah, it's more of the same thing, right? Positive psychology. Like if you're getting angry at yourself and not like what's going on, if like you can't detach that, if you're not encouraging yourself to keep it going and like motivating yourself, then you're not really doing yourself any favors. I think the more you get in your own head, I think we can all relate to this to some degree. The more we get in our own heads, the harder it is to have a positive, good outcome. Would you agree?
I agree, and I think we can even look at use stats and metrics at that point as well. I think I'm just
Exactly.
always, every single set that I play, I'm just trying to look, even the sets that feel bad, I'm always trying to look for something positive that maybe was something I wasn't doing the last set, or something I wasn't able to do a week ago, even if it's just like being able to hit one section of something.
Yeah. Do you ever look at the like song result screen and any of those graphs and distributions?
Not as much as I should, but I do track a lot of pictures, or I have kind of benchmark ideas of where I want to be in terms of either like money score percentages or excellent counts. So it's always kind of like in the back of my head whether I'm doing better or like on average.
Yeah, I think it's really fun to compare like between sessions, and then like maybe between months, and then like between years. Like literally, I was posting a score, of like a 97 on Arcology, a year ago or like a year and a half ago, and now my score is like a 998, right? So it's like, wow, I thought X amount of time ago, I thought a 97 for me was like very, very good on Arcology, so much that I wanted to share it, right? And now, like today I got a 995 and I didn't even take a photo of it. So it's like it when you are able to like tell yourself these success stories of like, and we'll see this in a second, but like everybody starts at 0, man. Like everybody starts at 0. Everybody starts being bad. And it's like, if you want to get good, there's a lot of stuff you can do to get good, but ultimately we all started off being not good. So when you get to like look and compare, like you're saying, compare scores, even if it's just sections, even if it's the same song, if it's like Revolver, something Vincent's very good at, if it's just getting better at one part of Revolver, that's so huge for you because you already wreck that song. So if you can like master that song, it just builds your case, as being like, as having that in your wheelhouse. So I like this. I think it's part of the being nice to yourself, celebrating the little wins and the longer term ones.
Yeah, going back to what you said about Facebook Memories, kind of bumping your scores from anywhere from like 1 or 2 years ago. One of my favorite ITD stamina players, Nitties, actually talks about that a lot in the stream, where stamina players in particular, because your progress is so linear and so defined in terms of, can you do this many measures of this many this fast BPM?
Sure.
It's really easy to be discouraged because you can play 96 measures of 200 today, and then 1 week later you can barely pass like a 14 or a 15. And the thing that Nitties talks about a lot is that you need to start looking at your progress over a very long time span. How good were you 3 months ago? How good were you 6, 9, 12 months ago? And as long as you're improving over this long time frame, there's going to be bumps along the road, but overall, as long as you're putting in the work, you should hopefully see like a positive gain over that time.
Totally. Yeah, and you get there with deliberate practice. Trust.
All right, let's go back to everybody starting at 0.
Yeah. Let's do that.
This is one of my favorite things that you've said. You've said, if someone else can do it, then I can also do it.
I gotta be honest. I'm gonna go super honest here, and let you all know that I have often vented with one of my friends. I'll just say it's Leon, right? I've vented with Leon, and it frustrates me at a cellular level. Like I get very shook when people just throw their hands up in the air and are like, oh, well, Chris is going to win. Oh, yeah, well, Alex is entering, right? It's like that kind of mentality is like the literal antithesis of what makes me as a human tick. Like I cannot stand that at all, right? Going back to like positive psychology, a healthier way, a better way to frame this is, Vincent just got, like a 99x on Revolver. Holy shit, right? This is hopeless. I'm going to give up. I can't do it. I can't do 14s. They're like, no. Like, wow, Vincent did that? Well, if Vincent did that, I can do that because insert reason here. It doesn't matter what the reason is. It's like the fact that someone else did something means it's possible. Period. Full stop. That's it. The fact that someone else did it means it's possible. Why can't you do it?
No, you gotta stay away from Footspeed because it's the only W I have on you right now.
You know what I mean though? Like Vincent's a human that plays in the groove. I'm a human that plays in the groove. ... All right, connect the dots there, right? So that's what this bullet means. But it also like I really want to emphasize like Leon and I are very much birds of a feather, and we're both we're very competitive, and we both feel like we have something to prove. Because we both feel like we're even better than people think we are. So. And we don't mean that in like and I'm not speaking for him here, I'm speaking for myself, but I don't mean that in a way that's arrogant. I just feel like I really, really love this game, and I've been spending a lot of time trying to get good at it. And so this attitude is what I've used to become a better player. And I think it's like, I love when my friends get awesome scores. I love, like, I will go and heart every single score in like every chat I'm in, because all of that is motivation for me. Like, holy shit, this person did this, I can do that. Holy shit, this person's killing it, I need to kill it. Like, like it's just like if you use that as positive energy versus like coward energy, and you like you don't go away, but you like embrace, you're doing it right, in my opinion.
Yeah, Twitch streaming has blown up a lot since at the time of recording this. I don't know how many years people are going to be listening to this from now, but we are in a global pandemic right now as a result of COVID-19. But as a result of that, Twitch streaming ITG like really blew up, and Leon and Leon C. Brunson had some really fun interactions on Twitch where I would send him a raid after I'm done with my set. Leon would ask me what I accomplished in that set, and then even though he's just talking to his chat, he's actually done playing. He's just chatting it up. He's already cooled down, maybe changed shirts already. I will tell him what I accomplished. He will jump back on his machine and he will try to take it.
That's what I mean. I love that. Like, it's great.
Yeah, and I think I have another anecdote where I think I used to be the person as well who always felt like the people above me were just completely unattainable in terms of skill. But I remember in particular attending Raj 6, watching ITG Alex play Upshift, which just has like it's a ludicrous chart with a particularly like ludicrous ending. But seeing him play that, I don't know why, but I just saw him do that and thought, yeah, I could probably at least get a decent score on this. You know, maybe not match ITG Alex to full potential and get, 5 or 6 excellence on the spot in a tournament setting, but I should at least be able to, 99 it.
Totally. And I think that attitude's great, right? And even going 1 degree, less competitive than that, if you just see that and you're like, holy shit, that looks awesome. Like Alex doing Upshift looks awesome. I want to do that, right? That's such a healthy mentality, and like it's just like the non-competitive version of what you shared, right? And I think it's like both of those are great and both of those are healthy. What you don't, I don't think what we both agree on, Vincent, is just like you don't want to see that and then think you never do it. Like that's the one choice that I think is like gonna trap you.
Yeah, I think another important thing to ask is even if something does seem very far out of reach or unattainable, I think it's important to ask, what you think are the steps are that, like the baby steps that would require you to kind of get up to that point. You just have to know that there's a path to success to whatever you want to get to, and that path might be different for everybody.
Yeah, the path to Upshift mastery is TBD. I'll let you know when I get there.
You have a good, don't you have a strong 99 on that?
I do. It's different with ECFA. I think ECFA, there's such an emphasis on mastery timing. So gonna have to tighten it up a little bit. But yeah, it's definitely it's one of those it's one of those charts where it really tests your mastery. No, I guess no pun intended of the game. It's just like you got to do everything.
I think my goal of Upshift right now is not even like a score goal. It's to get through it, stepping deliberately and not being tired at the end. That would be a big W, because then if you're not tired, then you can start thinking about timing a little bit more and not be winded by it. You talked about this briefly already, but I actually really like your idea of having a wide range of goals, half attainable, half ambitious. I don't know if there's more that you wanted to say on that.
I keep it really informal with like my own playing. Usually I'll have an idea of what I want to play when I start up my stream. And another rule that I have for myself is like I basically stream every time I turn on my machine. So I really like social playing. I do better when I play with friends, and Twitch is like an easy way to kind of extend that. So that's just like I guess a disclaimer for me. Yeah, I think examples are the best. So like today, when I turned on my cab and I wanted to play, my goal was to just like continue filling out like 11s to 13s on ECFA. And that's it. Like last night, my goal was to play new stuff. So I wanted to play at least like 10 songs sight read, right? Like I never had seen these charts, played 10 of them, right? Those are like some of the attainable goals where it's just literally like a checklist item. Like, hey, do this thing. Like today you will fill out scores. Do it, right? It's like you're not going to not do that. It's very 1 or 0. It's very, you just do it or you don't. That's the attainable stuff. The ambitious is like, oh, I want to get a new mastery today, or I want to get 2 new masteries today. I want to play a new 14 and 99 it, right? I want to play. I want to sight read 5 songs, and I'm going to grind all 5 to get like my best scores, like really scores I'm proud of, right? Those are like, I don't know, man. Like maybe I'll do like some of that, but like I don't know, like that's kind of just like probably not going to happen. And I think that that's really healthy, right? Because you get to everything goes back to being positive and kind to yourself, but you get to check some stuff off. I had a good session, right? I did stuff I'm like proud of. I'm not actually physically checking these off. It's all just in mental, just so everybody's aware.
Actually, a question for you now, following up with that. Are you the type of person to maintain a checklist for everyday things in terms of things you need to do? No? Okay.
No.
Do you do that mentally?
For work stuff, yes. For work stuff, I think I'm pretty organized at work. For life stuff, we use like Google Assistant to do like shopping lists and like other stuff, but like ultimately I'm not like I'm more digital. I'm not like super like anal, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think particularly when I was still in university, there were some times where I'd have very stressful weeks with a large list of things that I needed to do in terms of assignments or checking in with other things. And I wrote on a whiteboard just this huge list of, honestly, I think like 20 items. Like that's how bad it got. But man, there's like a dopamine rush of every single time you're able to check something. And I think that's important for for just keeping attainable goals, to know that like, even if your entire set feels like it went down the drain in terms of your ambitious goals, you kind of always have like the easier stuff to look back on and say, I came in with the goal to fill out this folder and I did it. So yeah, everybody should take more pride in like their small victories wherever they can.
Yeah, I think a lot of the world would be a better place if people were nicer to themselves and each other. But I guess it's a different topic for a different show.
We have some disagreements over the importance of getting quads versus just like some sort of lower threshold. Like I don't know if I can speak to it first, but I think also because of my stamina background, I've always been more ambitious about playing higher block ratings, and attaining a quad in those higher block ratings is very hard if that's like a new block that you're breaking into. So a 99 money score has always been like a good threshold for me to try to hit for those things. I don't know if you have opinions on that.
Yeah, I think it's just all depends on your goals, right? So like my goal is not to continue, pressing into the whatever, like 19s, 20s, 21s. Like I don't really like. I love seeing people do it. Like I am always blown away by it. And like I know a lot of the top stamina players, and like I think that they're insane. I think you're insane. Like it's fun to watch. Like I think it's cool. But ultimately, like again, I shared at the beginning of our chat, like the relentless pursuit of perfection is why I play the game. Like I love music. And like I love games, and like I love competing, and you're basically letting me combine all those things. And so, for lots of reasons, I just feel like I love that I love that aspect of it. So that's what I go for. And because like the theoretical quint star or masteries, as they're called in ECFA, like
it's hardly theoretical with you. You've gotten your handful.
But that's the thing, right? It's like, but because I'm focused on it, like I think that would not be the case if I didn't care, right? If I didn't care to play 7s to 9s, so far I have like a 7, an 8, and 3 9s is how many masteries I have in ECFA. So like, it's fun for me. The same way you've played the 14s multiple times. It's fun for you. Like you enjoy that aspect, right? So I don't think that there's a right answer. I don't think you can say like quads matter or quads don't matter. I think it's just whatever. It's a beautiful game that we've all co-created. So it's just whatever you feel is important to you. Sweet. Like, do you have reasons for that? Great. Like that's kind of how I think about it.
Yeah. So it's important for people to find their own intrinsic motivations and not necessarily need to latch onto the goals that other people have in order to measure their success, right?
Totally. Like if someone's watching this video right now, my thinking is that they're more competitive than the average person. If someone is just watching this and literally just plays ITG for exercise, that's awesome. I'm happy you found this video. Same if you just play, and we use ITG and like Stepmania, I think those are synonyms, but maybe you just play for fun. Maybe you just got like a Polish pad, and you just, maybe you downloaded Club Fantastic or something, and you're just playing for fun. You're just getting into it. That's great too. Like, it doesn't really matter. And I think, when we have like such a hot button issue, like on Twitter or whatever, about something like quad, like, are quads important, or like, is it just like timing and like whatever? It's like, dude, you're literally talking about like the 0.5% of the people that play this game that can even quad stuff, and like it's just like, I don't know, it seems a little out of touch to me. So it's really about like what the game means to you, and whatever level you're at is like fine. And I think that like if your goal of the game is to be ultra competitive, we have these branches, right? Like stamina and like these other things. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's open source has been really beautiful in terms of, you can just play the game however the heck you want. Like,
it's cool.
The fact that playing Space Time, which is a 20, is somehow categorized as the same game as playing like Dazzlin' Darlin' 9 is just like profound to me still, like to this day. I cannot believe that they're both Stepmania. Yeah, but I think
it's wild.
I think the main thing that I see between the two of us in terms of the goals that we set, mine being kind of like higher block stuff, lower score threshold, and yours being like pure perfection no matter what it is. I think the outcomes of what you improve on is a direct result of the goals that you set.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I have no doubt that if you continue on the path that you are with focusing on pure perfection, just grind at it, I think over time you will catch up on the foot speed and stamina train much faster than you realize.
Well, I was saying this in our chat earlier, but it's like my goal is to just do knock out all the 7s to 9s, whatever, then play 10s and 11s for like a few weeks, and then spend the remaining 3 to 5 months of ECFA just on 12s to 14s, because I know that's my weakness, right? I know that's what I need to work on. So that's the plan.
But ECFA is also like, a 5 to 6 month long tournament. Like, you have nothing to lose right now in terms of just like having fun and just playing what you want to, getting better at developing fundamentals, and just letting it ride, because the real grind is going to be in the last couple months. So enjoy it while you can.
Right. Yeah.
In terms of progress and motivation, I feel like do you have anything to say about, I mean, it's really just you versus yourself, right? Ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, this is like similar thread that we were just touching on. Like, the game means to you what it means to you. So therefore, don't let other people determine your self-worth, right? Like, if this is your main hobby, like it is, I'm guessing, for both of us, if what somebody else achieves on a certain song you're struggling with, or what someone else does, has no bearing on what you have done or what you can do. And so it's not fair to you. Everything goes back to being nice to yourself, Vincent. But yeah, it's really like, if you look at your progress over time, if you look at your progress, and like if you're grinding out a song or a score, like look at those things, focus in on those things. Don't pay too much attention to what Chris is doing, otherwise you'll get tilted. Or other things, other words, astounded.
Yeah, and I think rhythm games exist in this really unique space with competitive games where, if you watch a Street Fighter tournament, you can be playing the best of your ability. You can be playing out of your like own mind, but if there's someone out there that's just better than you, they're just gonna outplay you. Then that's out of your control. But I feel like rhythm games are in a unique space because even though there are 2 pads on the machine and we're playing side by side, and it's technically head to head, every decision you make in terms of how well you score and what judgments you get, that's entirely on you. Like, the actions of the person next to you are not directly impacting anything that's going on.
Yeah, it's a great like epiphany to have. in case people have out there not thought of that, I think it's really really important. Which I think we skipped over a little bit, but basically in the last slide, the last bullet was just like nothing is impossible. Just look at our top players, like they're the top because of this principle. I think that when you only compete against yourself and you expect just like nothing but perfection, and you get there, then that's it. Like that's all you got to do is you got to be the best for the reason that you control your own destiny, right? Nobody else gets to say how good you are except for you.
Yeah, actually, the top players are the example for the things being possible, and I think that's how it should be looked at. I remember playing against Sudsy Sudsy is an outstanding ITG tech player. One of the few players I know that does literally every piece of tech. No double steps on anything, even like eighth note turns. Literally does all the tech. And I remember playing Earthquake against him at RIP 11.5. And I was super stoked because I got an SGE, like even through like the speed up and the brackets and like the weird crossover at the end. Like finished with 8 or 9. I was like super stoked about it, and then Sudsy's screen just showed a flag of 1x.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
But yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like the fact that he got 1x is just like totally out of my control. Like he's super talented. I can still take my 9EX, which was a really good accomplishment for me at the time, and I can still kind of look at that as a W.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've seen that happen in DDR tournaments a ton. That's happened to me for sure. Is people and I think that this is like the our first bullet here under like sources of motivation is when people are put in a tournament situation like that, right? Like your Earthquake example for Sudsy, you do better because you know that the other person has also been practicing, a bunch, and like that it's like it's going to be close because you've been putting in the time, they've been putting in the time. So who's going to be better in this one coin flip, right? So I think that that's like just like a great thing to keep in mind that oftentimes in tournaments people will PB get their personal best all the time because they're constantly being put in these high pressure situations of, well, I know this other person practiced, but my practice is better, right? So that's like a really hype part about rhythm games, I think.
Actually, you were at the Big Deal 3. I remember, I think on two separate occasions, people were playing against Chris, and they PFC'd an 18 and still lost on EX score. But it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. How can you be mad about that? How can you be mad about PFCing an 18 like on the spot in a tournament setting, just like on command? That's like nothing to be upset about, I feel like.
You think about all the DDR players in the world, right? And then you think about what percentage of them are like in that top tier. And then you think about how like what percentage of those people have ever PFC'd an 18. And then you think about PFCing an 18 and then losing. It's like, yeah, you should feel pretty good about that. Like it sucks, but also like you probably lost to like the literal one person that you could have lost to. So we take those.
Yeah, we absolutely take those. Yeah, what are your primary sources of motivation?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, I've created a few like spaces where I have a lot of different types of friends, and there's messenger chats and Discord and on Twitter and just like all these sources of like ways I keep in touch with my friends. And a lot of my friends happen to be very good at the game. And so for me, like I was sharing earlier, it's just like I just love this. The only thing that I like more than like me getting better at my hobby is like seeing other people also get better at the hobby, because I know the feeling that you get and how fun it is and how much time and energy we spend thinking about all this stuff. And it's just like it's esports, it's exercise, it's it's just like we do game design, right? We create content ourselves. We do stuff like this where we get to talk about it. I don't know. There's just like there's a lot surrounding it. So yeah, friends, for sure, I think are maybe my biggest motivator. People coming into the chat, my Twitch community is just like, I consider all those people my friends too. And like the support I get from them, amazing. Tournaments, of course, amazing. I do really well when I'm in high pressure situations. So great way to stay motivated. Unfortunately, COVID, right? But hey, ECFA, way to do it from the comfort of your own space. Great. I'm privileged to be a part of the Life 4 team. I help do a lot of like community support for them and some of the game balance, like the rank balancing and stuff. And I've seen that Discord. I've seen the ECFA Discord. These spaces, Black Flag Academy, which is for like developing DDR players, and you like can't join if you're like at a certain level or above. So I think these spaces that are Valkyrie Dimension, another DDR group that's meant for women and non-binary folks who are playing dance games. Which again, all these spaces just like so amazing to have this group of people that like are around your skill level and like all kind of elevating each other. Like there's a great saying, right? A rising tide lifts all boats. Really, really, that's kind of how I feel about interacting with all this like social stuff that we have, right? To that we have access to.
Yeah, I think the source of motivation for me that I resonate with the most is actually something Jazz tweeted, I think, last week, which was, I think the secret to getting better is to have friends that are just a little bit better than you.
Totally.
Just to push you a little bit. That's the one I resonate with the most. Like, anytime I see you or Leon post a score, I'm just like, oh man, now I have to play it. I have no choice. I have to do it. I think the other thing is just finding communities that are not only motivating, but kind of understand what your goals are and will communicate the things that communicate to you like how you can improve in the way that you want to hear it in a way that helps. I personally don't mind tough love. I don't mind being told it's like, dude, you suck at this, like you need to fix this. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. But I know not everybody kind of speaks into that language, so yeah, it's good to find communities that are supportive of you but on the same wavelength.
Yeah, totally. And the last bullet, of course, this is the theme of really the daily is it's yourself, right? Like if you ultimately don't find the game fun, if you don't feel like competing, you're probably not going to be motivated. You're probably not going to have a good time. So really think about why you enjoy playing or why you want to keep playing more. And you got to like self-actualize, right? You got to think about it. It starts with you and then all this other stuff.
Also, be nice to yourself.
Be nice to yourself.
That's
another thesis. Yeah.
As we start to wrap this up, do you have advice for new players, particularly for new players getting involved with ECFA?
Yeah, I think if you're a new player, I recommend that you go on Twitch and watch a lot of streams. Go to the Stepmania category and check out a bunch of streamers. I had some great quick dialogues with some new followers today where outlined everything that was happening. Anybody who has like ECFA in the title of their stream is willing to help you out. Like I guarantee it. Everybody's super inclusive and nice. Literally at any time, click the Stepmania category on Twitch and just see who's on and just go chat them up. Just go, just see what's up and just make a connection. I think you'll be surprised. Also, have fun, right? Like I think if you are playing the game and you're not having fun, I don't understand how you get from there to like wanting to compete. That's your thing. But ultimately, like I know that, and I've talked to Chris about this for sure, Chris Trek. But like, I play first because it's fun, and then like the competition angle comes in. So I know that that's the case for me. Is that the case for you, Vincent?
Sometimes I maybe don't want to admit it, but it's true. Like you wouldn't do something if you genuinely didn't have fun with something, you wouldn't be doing it. That's just the truth.
Yeah.
So no matter what you say your goals are, like I'm here for competition only. Like, you're being a hard ass about it. Like, you're having fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, and then just going back to repeating for the 20th time of being nice to yourself, like I don't want to have new players compare themselves to, you know, the Vincents and Tommies and Kayas and Leons and whoever's of the world, because that's not fair to you, right? Like all these players, myself, you know, I've been playing for 20 years, dude, like 21 years this year, right? 20 years. Like it is not fair if you just started a year or two ago to like compare yourself to me like that. It's gonna create all these like weird you know, like imposter syndrome type of things in your head, and it's just like it's not that way at all. It's just like you know, there's so many people who are 20 years older than me that are better at so many things that I've never even tried yet, right? So it's just like it just seems so unfair to try to like feel like, you know, you're behind or like, you know, you're somehow not going to catch up or whatever. Like the floor right now is so much higher. I think about DDR especially, right? Like back in the day, like the hardest thing we had was like a 15 out of 19, right? And now when you look at like what a 19 is, like, you know, the ceiling has been raised, right? But also so is the floor. Like there's so much access now to like such a variety of content. You know, ECFA does the same thing. You know, it starts at 7. There's some technical 7s, man. So have fun with those, and don't feel like being a part of the development side of the hobby is a bad thing. Like enjoy it. You know, meet people on Twitch, you know, Discord, Twitter, whatever.
That's my big one, is connecting with other people, particularly people like in your skill range.
Totally.
Yeah. Like my experience has been overwhelmingly positive. I think the community is very inclusive, but just find those Discord channels. I'll link ECFA, and probably even Stamina Nation as well, just because that's a community I also feel like I thrived well in. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Like, people are very encouraging of new people coming in, and if there's someone who's not being inclusive, just let me know and I'll figure it out. I'll sort it out for you.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any shoutouts before we close this out?
Oh, I should have thought of this ahead of time. Sure. I'm gonna give a shout out to Democracy. That is the community that we've built over the past year. Just really awesome group that just, I don't know. I just started streaming on Twitch like last March, and all these people started hanging out with me, and it's been awesome. And just big shout out to all those folks. Shout outs to the team who created ECFA, has worked on ECFA. Love you all. Thank you so much. I mean, song selection, curation's perfect, and it's gonna be so fun getting all the DLC content. Amazing. And shout out to you, Vincent. Thanks for having me on, and I'm looking forward to us both getting better over the next 5 months, man.
I'm scared. It's gonna be a really long 5 months, which I also said last week, but it is gonna be a long 5 months. So I'm trying to be smart about pacing myself as well as I can.
Nice.
Yeah,
I mean, fingers crossed, vaccine soon, right? So we can do ECFA in person soon.
Another thing I'll say as we start closing out is I would love to have you back on again. I know that a lot of the topics we talked about were very kind of brief and surface level. Like any one of these bullet points we went through could easily be jumped into for another full episode. So if there's any interest in hearing more about, you know, maybe strategies for setting goals or talking more about how to maintain healthy rivalries or something like that. If there's anything that anybody wants to hear about, just definitely leave a comment, and I'll take all those things excuse me, into consideration. And then other than that as well, if there's any other guests that you want to hear on, I'm totally game for reaching out to those people as well to have a conversation with them. So with that said, Omid, thank you so much for being on my show. I'll catch everybody next week.
My pleasure. See ya.